right, hi guys. So I meant to record the training and the presentations that I did live, and I forgot to, or I remembered when I was like 15 or 20 minutes in. So I'm gonna do one for just you. Like, so there's not going to be any conversation or anything like that. I'm going to try to remember some of the questions that came up in the past 2 days. So this is Intro to Google Drive, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm starting from the very, very, very beginning. So some of you watching this might say, okay, like when you start seeing what I put up here, might be like, oh, that's way too basic. But bear with me because I want to establish a base, and I'm going to keep coming back to it as I present. And also, I want you to have this background knowledge while I'm giving the presentation, because you already have background knowledge on computers, but maybe not Google Drive. But if you understand computers even slightly, then you'll understand what Google Drive is. So let's begin. So first, I want to do the question, what is Google Drive? Why do I need it? And how will it help me? A lot of videos you see will talk about how do I use Google Drive? And I'm sure that you're like, that's all I need to know. I just want to know how to use it. I want to take a step back, because even if you know how to use it, you can't fully understand the intricacies of it, and maybe even get further, like advanced pieces, if you just don't even understand the system itself, and like why would I even want to use this? Like, okay, great, the school told me to use it, or whatever, but why is this something that I should be using? Not just because someone told you to use it or because they're using it, but why is it something that I should be using, and how will it help me in my productivity? So I want to begin with this quick history of drives. So in the top right, you'll see I have drive equals storage media, and that's what this word drive means. So a lot of people Google drive, put it on the drive. It's in the cloud drive. It's on the drive. Put it in this drive. It's in this drive. You're going to hear the word drive so many times when we're talking about Google Drive that I want to make sure that you understand exactly what a drive is. And a drive is storage media. That's what it is. It's how you store media. It's how you keep anything, any file, music, videos, files, documents, anything. Any file you have, you put it on this thing to be able to save it. So way back when computers first started, we only really had hard drives. And a hard drive is hardwired into your computer, and it can't be removed. The very first hard drives were massive. They were as big as a room. And so we have come a long way, and now our hard drives can be about this big, and we have a hard drive on our phone too. So it's hardwired, and it's the place where everything lives on your computer. Chromebooks are slightly different. Chromebooks do not have hard drives. They have what's called a virtual drive, but it's the same concept. It's the place where the information that runs your computer lives. Now, about 40 years ago or so, 30, 40 years ago, we started really getting into some portable drives. Hard drives were still really big. If you remember what computers look like in the 80s, they were still very large, and that's because the hard drives were very large. But then we started with these portable drives, and the first portable drive, meaning, all right, so I had this hard drive and I can't move anything. I may have this file, but if someone wants me to give them a copy of that file, or if I need to put that file onto a different computer, it was possible, but not really easy. So we started with these portable drives, and the very first one was the floppy disk drive. So the floppy disk, if you remember or if you've seen it, was about this big, the very first one, and then they got to be about this big, but they were about this big, and they were actually floppy. So the floppy drives, the floppy disk. So the floppy disk is the actual object. It was the disk. And the drive is, as you see in the picture, is that silver thing. And that's the thing that you use to access the information on the disk. So you have the floppy disk with information, you put it in the drive, and the drive is how you access those files. Same thing when we went to a CD drive. So the CD has all the information on the CD, but you can't actually get to any of the information until you put it into the CD drive. And the CD drive allows you to access the information on the CD, on the disk. CD stands for compact disc. Back to this disk. And then we moved on to the USB thumb drive, which people still use now, and you probably have seen this more than probably the other ones. And so we had the thumb drive, and it was USB. So again, this little object, and I'm going to come back to this object a lot throughout the presentation, so keep this in your head. This drive is actually the disk too. The disk is in there. So you put the information on this little object, you stick it in your computer, and then you can access the files. With this, just like the other ones, you can take it and put it in different computers to access them. So now, within the past 20 years or so, we've started, I don't even know if it was 20 years, maybe 15, we've started with cloud drives, right? So this idea of a drive, the drive is how you access the information that is in storage. It's stored somewhere. In a cloud drive, it is not what it actually says. It is not in a cloud. It is not in some abstract area. It is actually in a physical place. It's in a huge warehouse full of hard drives. So Google has lots of these huge warehouses with tons of hard drives. And so what a cloud drive is you taking your file and putting it into one of those hard drives in a warehouse where somewhere that we don't know, that Google owns, or OneDrive or Microsoft owns, or Dropbox owns, whoever. One of these people owns this warehouse with millions of hard drives. So that's the cloud. The cloud isn't actually an abstract place. It's not just going poof and kind of and moving around in the air. It's actually a physical place. It's just not here, and you don't have access to it. So it's the cloud. So exactly what is a cloud drive? So first, I want you to recall when you save a file from your computer to a thumb drive so that you can move that particular file to another computer. So let's say you're working at home. If you're a teacher, you're lesson planning, or if you're your business, you're working on something at home, and you save your file on your computer. Well, if it's on your computer, you can't take it to another computer. We're thinking back before, right? So you can't just take the file and take it to another computer. You would need to get that thumb drive, stick it in your computer, take your file from your computer, upload it to the thumb drive, and if you have a PC or even a Mac, on the left side would be all your disks. You would have C, D, E, F, G. So you have the C drive, which is normally your main hard drive on your computer, and then the thumb drive would become F. So you would move the document or the file from C to F, and now you have the F drive, and then you have to remove the F drive, and then you can take it back to work. And then you take your thumb drive, put it in the computer at work, open it, and now it may be a different letter. Maybe it's a G now. So you take the file that's in the G drive, and you're going to put it on the C drive of that computer, right? So that thumb drive, it's what's moving, allowing you to move your information from one place to another, okay? A cloud drive is exactly the same way, except you don't have anything physically to carry with you from one place to another. You take your file from your computer and you upload it into the cloud, which again is a physical place. It's not the air, it's a physical place, but you're uploading it to this cloud that someone else owns. But because you're uploading it to the cloud, to this common area, because it's in a common area, you can now access this common area from any computer that you call into it. So you don't have to carry something with you. It's sitting here in this common area. All right. So the advantages and disadvantages, they're both. So the advantages, and I've talked somewhat about both of them. The advantages are that it saves storage space on your own computer. So you don't necessarily have to have every single picture or every single piece of music or whatever. You don't have to have it on your computer. You can just put it in the cloud because you can access it from anywhere. You can access it from any device, anytime, on any platform. So you can, it does, so going back to our thumb drive, if it was formatted for a PC way back when, sometimes it wouldn't work in a Mac because it was a different type of system. If it was your computer and then you put it into another computer and it gave you a virus, right? So you didn't want to put it into other like public computers because you could get a virus. That's gone now. So you can access any of your files that are in the cloud from any device, anything, your phone, your Chromebook, your Mac, your PC, anytime. You can access it at 2 o'clock in the morning. You can access it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and on any platform. Okay. Android, Apple, right? It also increases collaboration because you can easily share it because of the above reasons. You don't have to wait till you go to school or go to work in order to give the file to someone. You can just send it to them because you have this cloud access to be able to just send it. It improves disaster recovery because, especially if you back up, if you have stuff on your hard drive and in the cloud, then if you lose some of the material, some of the files that are on your hard drive, you can just go to the cloud and grab them from the cloud and put them back on your hard drive. Also, these companies, they know how important it is to protect your stuff. So they're not going to have only one copy of your files in one area because they have crashes too. It's a machine. It's going to crash. So they have multiple copies of your documents and of your files so that if they have a crash, you're always going to have those files available. And finally, there's nothing physical that you need to keep control of. Like you don't, I mean, how many times, when you had thumb drives, you would go to work and be like, oh, I forgot my thumb drive. My thumb drive's in my computer at home. So all the work that you did, you remembered to take it off of your computer and put it on the thumb drive, but you did not remember to take the thumb drive. So it didn't matter. All of that work is gone. Not gone, but you can't use it today because it's at home. That is gone now too because you can access it anytime, anywhere from any device. Now, the disadvantages. The disadvantages are, number one, are the potential security threats. This is number one. You have to be mindful of what you put in the cloud because remember, it's not in the air floating around. It's not in an actual cloud. It's actually in someone's possession. It's in Google's possession if you're using Google Drive. It's in the possession of Microsoft, if you're using OneDrive, it's in someone's possession. So remembering that, don't put sensitive stuff on a cloud drive. My bank information does not go in the cloud. It stays on my hard drive on my computer. Another disadvantage is that it requires an internet connection. You can set it so you can access things offline, but in general, in order to access most of your things, you need to have an internet connection. And if you don't have an internet connection, you're not going to be able to access most things. There's also a terms of agreement that you have to agree to because, again, it's another company. So this company is allowing you to use their space. And for the most part, quite a bit, they give you quite a bit of space for free. And that's why if you want more space, you have to pay for it because they have to add the space for you to use. And the last piece, and I will move my picture up so that you can see it, is that you don't have a physical copy unless you keep a copy on your personal hard drive. So you put a file into the cloud, but it's in the cloud. It's in someone else's possession, remember? You have access to it, but you don't have a physical copy of it. So if you want a physical copy, you need to make sure that you have a copy on your hard drive. All right, so going through all that, now we are going to get to the big question that everybody has is, all right, now that I understand what it is, how do I use this? Right, so now I can get in it, but like, how do I use it? So let's first talk about how you get to it. How do you even access it? So I want to talk about accessing on your computer first because accessing it on a mobile device is pretty much the same. But there are 4 parts I want to talk about. One is multiple accounts and being careful of having multiple accounts. And then the other 3 are accessing it from the app grid, accessing it through Bookmarks, and accessing it through a search bar. So the thing with accessing it through multiple accounts. So this is an example of my work versus my my personal, right? So my personal email is @gmail.com. My school email is @rpsk12.org. They're both Google accounts, but my personal actually has Gmail, and my school has my work ending on it. Now, if you look at the 2 pictures here, you will see that they're different. In your profile, you can change the picture so that you can make sure to identify that you're on either your personal one or your work one. Now, if you are one of my coworkers, if you work at my school, then and many other work sites have the same thing, is that it's easy to recognize when you're on your work Google account because there's a separate icon there, and in this case, it's the Revere Patriot. So when I see that Revere Patriot icon, I know that I'm on my work Google account. Whereas if it's just me, it's just my personal account. And like I said, I changed the picture in both of them so that I know which picture goes with which account. I actually have 3 accounts because I also work at Bunker Hill, and so my Bunker Hill picture is different. So I have 3 different pictures so that I can identify which account I'm on. Now, this is really, really, really important because this happens, especially when someone is trying to share something with you within your job. Because oftentimes what happens is that the things that are shared with your job can only be accessed within that system. So in order to access that document, you have to access it from your work account. So this will pop up if you are in the wrong account. So it says, you need access. And then this is usually what happens is people are like, what? And then they only see the blue button that says request access. And they go, oh my God, what? How am I supposed to read this if they don't even give me access to it? And then you click the request access button. And I get these a lot because what happens is that you didn't continue looking at the bottom. And when you look at the bottom, it tells you what account you are assigned in as. So if you are signed in your personal account, then when someone sends you something in your work account, you're not going to be able to access it. So you have to be signed into your work account in order to access the work stuff. So when you get this, don't click request access. Before clicking request access, keep looking and check what account you're logged in with. If you're logged in with your work account and this is a document coming from work, then click request access. And because usually what happens is the person didn't assign you the correct permissions, okay? But if you're not in your work account or if you're not in the correct account, what you should do is first click there on the piece that says your account, and then choose the account that you want to switch to. And it'll tell you the two different accounts, and you choose the one that you need to switch to, right? And then you click continue, and then you'll be in the correct account, and you should be able to open the document as long as they gave you the correct permissions. Now, to be able to switch accounts without getting through this, going back to this idea that there are these two pictures of you, and I'm going to show you my account so you can see what it looks like. All right, so if you see here, this is my personal Google Drive account, and I'm on a PC right now. On a Chromebook, this looks slightly different, and I'll tell you in a minute what's the difference. So you have this one and you have this one. You have two pictures of yourself, if you have pictures of yourself, but you have two of the same picture, signifying that the Chrome app, the Chrome website, or not, the Chrome piece of software that you're working on is logged in to your personal account. And so if you look at all the tabs I have on here and all the extensions I have and the bookmarks I have, these are all connected to my personal account. If I go down here, it says that it's me again, but this is only for the tab. So this tab is logged in on my personal account. If I click on my picture, it will give me the option of logging into another account. So these are my other two accounts. So I pick my work one, and you will see that it opened, I know there's like 20,000 tabs up here, but it opened a different tab. And so that different tab now is logged in to my work account. Now, if you look here, I now have two pictures. I have my personal account picture and my work account picture. And that's because on the Chrome app, I am logged into my personal account. But on this particular tab, I'm logged into my work account. So up here I have, I don't know if you can see it, I have two Google Drives open, two tabs. So this tab is my work account. I go back here and I'm on my personal account. Work account, personal account. So this right here will tell me about the tab. Now what will happen if I if I click here, what's going to happen? And I'm not sure if it will show or not on this. But if I click here, it's going to do the same thing, and it's going to tell me to open, one of these. So when I click on it, it opens a completely new instance of Google Chrome. And I'm not sure if you can see this or not, so I won't be able to see it until I check. And I may have to cut this part out. But if you look here, actually, let me go back to here. Let me pause it for a second. Yeah, so I just checked it. I don't think you can see it, but I'll see if I can insert a video showing it. But anyway, it will open all. If you could see at the bottom of my screen, you would see that I have two instances of Google Chrome open, and one is my personal and one is my work. And the Chrome instance that is open for my work is what I would see if I were using my work computer. The bookmarks are different because they're the bookmarks linked to my work account. The extensions are different because they are the extensions linked to my work account. Everything is different on it. So, and if you would look here, you can't see it, but on the other one that I've just opened, you'll see my work account picture, all right? So these pictures tell you which account you're in. So if someone says, I sent you a file, I shared a file with you, and you're like, where in the heck did they send it? And they're like, oh, it's in shared with me. And you go to shared with me, and you look, and you're like, I don't see it in here. Well, that could be because you're in your personal account and not your work account. They might have shared it to you through work and not personal, so you won't see it in your personal account. So back to those USB thumb drives, right? So you have a work drive, a work thumb drive, and you have a personal thumb drive, and they don't mix. You can't mix them. You can't mix the files on the thumb drive. You can't mix the files in the cloud either. You have your personal drive, and you have all of your settings and your apps and all of your files in your personal drive, and you have your work drive. And if you've got your personal drive in your computer, the files and information on your work drive aren't going to show up because it's not connected to your computer. Same thing. You have to connect to the work drive in order to access the work folders. You would need to connect to your personal drive to access your personal files and folders. And the way to connect is you're not physically connecting anything like a thumb drive. You're connecting by changing your account, and that is how that you change it here. You either change it here or you change it here. You can change it by opening an entirely new instance of the program, or you can change it by just opening up a new tab. On the Chromebook, you open up a new tab regardless. This piece here does not exist. So it's your only option on a Chromebook is to open up a new tab. Right? So now that we have changed our account on the computer, doing it on your phone is almost exactly the same. Doing it on your phone, as soon as this loads, let's go to it. Doing it on your phone, you just have to make sure you have the app on your phone, so you need to download the app. And then you are going to just do the same thing. Your account is that little picture. To switch accounts, you're gonna just click on your profile picture and then choose the account you want, and it switches to the correct account. Same, almost exactly the same. All right, so now let's go back to accessing the drive on your computer. So another way to do it on your computer is through the app grid. And the app grid is this 9 little dots at the top of your screen. And when you click on those 9 little dots, you're going to get an app drawer, is what they call it. And it's going to hold all the apps that are accessible to you in Google. This is not, the list that is there is not exhaustive. It's only what what, like some of them you can put in there and some of them Google just populates on its own. It will look different for each person depending on apps that they use. And you can also add apps to it. So again, up at the top right corner of your computer on Google, you have to be in a Google. So if I'll show you here, if I'm already in Chrome, so if I open up a new tab, right here is Google Apps. I click on it, and then I have my app drawer, and it gives me a list of apps that I can use. So it's in the tab, and it's, if you just open a new tab, it'll give you that. It'll also do it in Gmail and also in Drive. So when you're in Drive, there's the, actually, yep. So this is the work one. Here's my little app pull down. And if you notice, this one from work is different from my personal one. So my personal one looks like this. The next piece is to access it through creating bookmarks. And so if there are file folders or files themselves that I use a lot, I will just create a bookmark. And so to create a bookmark is that little star. So when you have the name of the where you're accessing it, the address bar, there's a little star. You click on the star and it shows you, it asks you to name the bookmark and where would you like to put the bookmark. And you can organize your bookmarks also, and that could be in a later training. But you can access your bookmarks, and then when you click on the bookmark, I'll show you mine here. So you see I have a ton of bookmarks. I have education, to do, school stuff, the service classes, reading, writing, ELL, BHCC, MCAS, Salem State. So for my school stuff, when I click on it, you can see all of these documents that I have bookmarked. So I have the shared drive bookmark. So I click on it, it immediately goes to that drive. I have this Google Sheet bookmarked, and so these are ones that I use. I have the Brown House Conduct referral form that we used last year already bookmarked, so I don't have to go looking for it. I just stick it here, and then I can just access it very easily. The next or final way that I have for you to be able to access your drive is by using the search bar. So the search bar is not just looking for Google stuff and stuff on the internet. The search bar can be used to find files, especially on your Chromebook. It'll find files on your Chromebook. It'll find files and folders in your Google Drive. So I created a GIF of me looking at my search bar so that you can see how it works if it ever loads. It only works if you remember the name. So you have to know the name, or at least the first few letters of the name, and it's usually stuff that you have recently worked with. So I will stop talking for about 30 seconds and let you watch the GIF and see how this works. All right, so in the search bar, I just started typing ELL, and it gave me some websites, but it also gave me 3 drive folders, and it gave me one of the link to the sites, my ELL site. And so I clicked on the one that I wanted, and it brought me directly to the drive folder that I wanted. All right, so what is all this stuff? So now we're in the drive, and there's a million things, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is all this stuff? 2 things, personal and work, do look different, so that's something to take note of. And so I made a screenshot of my personal and my work one, just to give you just a glance. You can see that it just looks slightly different. So the big things that are different between your personal and your work is in your personal drive, you have this thing called computers, and in your work drive, you have priority and shared drives. So I'm going to go through your personal one because it's exactly the same as the work except for two things. And the one thing gets taken away in your personal drive. So I'm just going to go through the personal one first. So this section is to add new material. So this is how you upload things. Unless you install another app called Backup and Sync, you will. Google Drive isn't like the USB port, like the USB drive. It's not like it doesn't become a letter in your folders, right? So remember, again, going back to that USB, on your computer, when you plug in your USB, in the search where you're searching for files on your computer, it pops up as a new letter, right? It doesn't happen like that with Google Drive. It can, but if you don't install and set it up, it will not. So therefore, in order to add new material, add new files, folders, videos, music, whatever you want to add, you're going to have to do it through the computer, through the website. And you would click New, right? So that's where you're going to add new materials, and you can add anything in here. The next thing is My Drive. So this is where your material is in the cloud. It's your USB stick, but it's in the cloud, right? So this is your drive, your USB stick. It has all of your information on it. It is my drive. This is mine. The next one is computers. So computers is the place where you connect your actual computer. You connect the hard drive on your computer to Google. All right. So you can then sync the information from your hard drive and send it to Google Drive. Again, remember that it is going into someone else's possession. So I have, and now because you have this link between the computer and Google Drive, when you open up the File Explorer on your computer, Google Drive will show up as another drive. It will show up as a folder, like just like you would with the USB drive. I'll show you that in a minute. But the thing to remember about this is remember that the cloud is not, it's in someone else's possession. So if you're going to do this, don't sync important or sensitive information that's in your computer. Don't sync it to the cloud, because someone else could easily get access to it. Probably not easily, but they could, and it's a possibility. So this area right here is where you're going to see everything is connected. So I will show you on my computer. Actually, I can't show you on my computer because I can only show you my Chrome instance. Anyway, if I could show you on my computer, maybe I'll put that up there in the slides. I'll put a screenshot of it. You would see that my computer is actually connected, but only parts of it. You can tell it exactly what you want connected and what should not be connected, and it will sync, and it will constantly sync between your computer and Google Drive. I personally like this because it automatically backs up. I have it to automatically back up what is in my Google Drive to automatically back up into my hard drive, so that I always have those two areas. I also like it because some documents I have on my hard drive that I just don't put in my Google Drive because my Google Drive is very full. And I don't want to, and in my case, I don't want to pay for more storage. So and they're like old documents that I sometimes reference, like from my old jobs. So I leave them on my hard drive, and then if I need to access them while I'm at school, while I'm at work, then I can just go to computers and it's there. But I don't access them that often. Now the shared with me is where the material is that other people have shared with you. So I've gotten the question, well, when someone tells me that they've sent me the document, I don't know where it is. If they've shared a document with you in Google Drive, it is going to be here. Everything that someone gives you is here, right? And the thing to remember about sharing is that it's just that. It's sharing. It is not giving. They're not giving you the document. They're not giving you a copy of the document. They are allowing you to look at their document. So it's just like a piece of paper. So if I have this piece of paper and I want you to look at it, I just want you to look at it. Tell me if you think it looks okay. I just want you to look at it. And I go to your desk and I put it on your desk. I just want you to look at it, but I expect you to not keep it, right? You're supposed to give it back to me. So sometimes I'm sure you've had where people, oh, I was supposed to give that back to you. I thought you were giving it to me. Well, Google Drive erases that and eliminates that. What happens is that you have this document on Google Drive. You share it with someone and you can give permissions. So you can give the permission of allowing that person to just look at it. You can give the permission to allow that person to make comments, or you can give permission for the person to actually edit the document and change the document. The other thing is that when you share it, it's still yours. So when you don't want that person to have access to the document anymore, you just unshare it. And now that person can't see your document anymore. It's still your document. So the shared with me is going to get really, really, really big. And it's just, after years, you're going to have hundreds of documents. Because what usually happens is when a person shares it with you, they don't usually unshare it. They usually just leave it. And so you will have access to this document for like their entire life because they just never unshare it with you because it wasn't important enough to not share it with you, or they just want you to have access to it forever. So this shared with me gets really disorganized and it gets really difficult to find things. So my suggestion is, if someone shares a document with you and you want to make sure that that you can find it again in the future, like not today, not tomorrow, like next week, next month, in 6 months, if this is a document that you're going to want to look for in the future, I would make a copy. And when you make a copy, then it goes into your drive. It goes into my drive. Now, then you can organize it into different areas. But the document that is shared with you, you can't move it. You can't do anything with it except what they gave permission for. Because it's not your document. It's not your file. It's that person's file, and they're only allowing you to look at it. So the shared with me is going to be very disorganized, and it's going to be difficult to find things after a while. So if there are things that you want to find in the future, make a copy, and I will show you right now. Let me go to Google Drive. All right, so if I open up my shared with me, you're going to see there's a ton of stuff in here. So many things. I mean, this goes forever. So if I want to make sure that I have like this, so this person even put on there, please make a copy. Why did they say please make a copy? Because they want to make sure you know that you need to make a copy of it. You're going to need this. all right? Let me get rid of that. So this person is telling me that I need to make a copy that I'm going to use it. So if you, and my computer's running really slow today. If you right click, you can come down here and it says make a copy. You can also, let's move my head again, come to these three little dots and it will give you some of the same things. Make a copy. So when you click make a copy, it will say down here, it created a copy in my drive. And then you can click show file location and it will bring you exactly to that file in my drive. Right, so here we are in my drive and it's going to be down here at the bottom. And here's my copy. These are all the copies I've made and just haven't organized and put them somewhere. The last three are fairly self-explanatory, but I'll just go over them really quickly. Recent are the documents that you have recently used. So it's, oh, I was just using it, but I don't remember the name. You can go in recent and then find that document. Right, so the material you recently worked with. The starred is the material that you star for quick access. So you can put a star on something and then be able to find it pretty quickly. And trash is, of course, things that you have thrown away. Your work has this priority, and it's so there's a priority and then there's workspaces. Priority is a list of things that Google thinks is important to you. So in that priority piece, it'll just be things that Google thinks is important to you. But it also includes this workspace. And a workspace you can create, and I created this one, and it's just for quick access. It's a list of documents that you're going to be using for that workspace. And you just can find, so you don't have to keep looking for them. They're just going to be right there. They're in your workspace. And it's actually a pretty cool concept. Your shared drive. Now your shared drive, going back to the USB, you have my drive and you have your shared drive. They are two different USB drives. All right, they are two different thumb drives. Your my drive is your folders, your files. The shared drives are like a separate thumb drive that can be accessed by anyone in a group. All the files in a shared drive are owned by everyone in that group. And down here at the bottom, I made a screenshot of couple of my shared drives. So I have a curriculum shared drive, and I had made this years ago, and it only has 6 people, but there were only 6 of us that were working on these documents. So I created a shared drive so that we could upload all of the documents that were pertained to this work. And then you don't have to share it with anyone. So when you share a document when you're sharing a document, remember, it's still yours. You're allowing your coworkers to access it and to look at it and to possibly edit it. But in general, it's still yours. Also, when you share a document, you have to remember everybody's name and who you want to share it with. So sometimes I've had people, oh, I forgot to share it with you, I'm sorry. And if it's shared, it goes in that huge list of shared with me. So if I share a document with my colleague Mary, and then the next day, Mr. Smith shares another document with Mary. So now she has 2 in that list. And then the next day, Miss Rogers shares 3 documents with Mary. So now Mary has 5 documents in that shared drive, and they're just sitting there. And now if I say, open the document that I shared with you 2 days ago, and she's like, oh, which one was that one? And then she has to go look for it. Instead, in a shared drive, we just all put all of our documents in one place, and we all can access these documents at any time. So it's like a thumb drive, but we all have access to it. So every single document that I want to share with my group members, I put in this shared drive. It's easy to access, and everyone has access to it, and it's there. You don't have to go look for it. It's in one place. Now, the organization-wise, you might forget in what folder it's in, but it's going to be just in that shared drive. So those are the 2 extra things you get with a work Google account. Go back. So there are 2 different ways. This is just different views. So that little box with like 6 squares, that is just how you change the view from a list view to a grid view. So you can just change how you look at files in your drive. This one is a cool little piece. So if you click on the I, it's for information. And then you'll see, so if you look at the I and you look down, it says Notes, Nouns, PDF. That's the name of the document I'm looking at and taking screenshots of. So I'm clicked on this document, I click on the I, and then it will give me 2 tabs, Details and Activity. The Details tab, if you look on the other side, it gives me a thumbnail of the file, folder, or the file. It tells me who has access. So you can see my picture and a letter P in pink. That means another person has access to this folder or this file. The location, it tells me where is this file. It tells me who owns the file, which is me. It tells you the last time it was modified, opened, when it was created, and what are the permissions. So it does say that it's a PDF. It has a little P there, how big it is, and like I said, who has it and what are the permissions. And the permissions on here are that she can view it. Now, if you go to the Activity tab, move my face again. The Activity tab tells you information about exactly what has happened with that file or that folder or the drive from its creation. So this same file, notesnouns.pdf, you can see on February 5th that I shared the item with Pauline Katz and that Pauline Katz can view it. And then long ago, on August 26, 2018, I uploaded the item. And then you can't really see it at the bottom, the way that the screen is, but it says that there is no more activity before August 26, 2018. So every single thing that happens with this document, with this folder, or with this file, or with this drive is in this information tab in activity. So you can see everything. You can see if you deleted it by mistake, because even when you delete it with Google, it's still there. It does not wipe it for a very long time. Very, very, very long time. So if you accidentally delete something, you can restore it. And that has happened to me quite often. All right, so the next thing is just some file management tips that I have. Some people had asked for how to manage some of the files because they do get a little crazy. And so some of the tips that I have on here is, so first, how to add the files. I do have a screenshot here of what it looks like. So when you click this new, you can add the files here, right? You can add an entire folder from your computer. You can add a file. You can create a new document, create a new Google Sheet, create a new Google slide. You can create a new folder, whatever. You can do a lot of things on here. To download files to your computer. So you created something, but you want a copy of it to keep on your hard drive. So you're going to right-click on the file and you get this list, or you're going to click in that little 3-dot thing and get the same, almost the same options, and you're going to see that it says download. And so you just download your document. With sharing files, same thing. If you right-click on the folder or on the file, you're going to get the same list, and you're just going to click share. Or at the top right, there's a list or a little like 4 or 5 icons. What is it? 5 icons, and the little person with the plus is how you share. And when you share a file, just remember, I want you to remember that you're not giving the person a copy of your file. You're letting them borrow it or have access to it, and set your permissions accordingly. You're not giving them a copy. To organize them a little bit, you can color code your files, or color code your folders, sorry. You can color code your folders. On a PC, you are not able to do this, but this is something that comes from like a Mac. On a Mac, you can color code. So again, right-click, change the color, or the little 3 dots, you can click change color from there too. You can also use the emoji keyboard extension and get an emoji keyboard, just like you do on your phone. You can get it on Chrome. And then you can just put emojis in the file names to help with some organization. You can also change the sort order. So you can sort by name alphabetically, and you can sort by the date that it was last modified. And that is my presentation. If you don't have a copy of this presentation, you can write all that in. But if you do have a copy of this presentation, I would love feedback, even if you were only watching it and you were not able to be here to ask questions. But please ask me questions at any time. I'm available. I will answer as promptly as possible. And I thank you for watching, all right? Thanks. Bye.